Hi guys! Uni has started for me yesterday, and I thought I'd talk a bit about how I've been reading in the past few weeks and months, and how I'm going to change that in terms of my uni workload and how I'm going to incorporate that into my usual reading schedule, if you can call it that, honestly. So when I started reading, I started out with just one book at a time. And that worked pretty well. It was annoying when I got stuck in a book and I didn't want to keep reading, but I also didn't want to DNF it, so I would, take my time with it. That worked pretty well. And then I started reading 2 books at a time, which worked less good. Is that grammatically correct? I'm not sure. Anyway, because that didn't work as well, I wanted to not do it again, and then I did it again because I read a fiction book, and then I also read a non-fiction book. The previous combination had been fiction and fiction, and that I think was just not a good combination, because if you get stuck in 2 books at the same time, that's really frustrating. I did finish the non-fiction book within like 8 days, but I started reading Good Omens before that, and I still haven't finished it. So I've been reading Good Omens for like 3 weeks now, and then I started reading Parliament and British Politics 2 weeks ago. On Wednesday, I think. So I've been reading these 2 parallel. I basically had the drive to finish this, which I still haven't done, granted, but I started reading this and I was pretty, stoked to do it, and so I would usually read it after work or just at home when I had spare time, and I would read Good Omens on my commute. It fits into the pocket of my jacket pretty well, actually, so that's quite convenient, and it's also small and nicer to travel with than this big of a book. That didn't help me read it quickly, but I also didn't want to read it quickly because I think, I anticipated this to be a book that I would really enjoy, so I didn't want to rush through it. I'm not a quick reader, which also comes into play, and it's really annoying, but I can't really do a lot about it, and I'm not gonna hate myself for it. So that's the current situation. Now, I got some uni work, and that basically entails reading a 500-page book. We don't have to read each chapter, but I think I'm just gonna do the 2 out of 14 that we don't actually have to read anyway, because might as well. Now I need to figure out how I'm actually gonna incorporate my uni work, which is this. It's this thick. It's fantastic. Into my usual reading. My original idea was to finish this before I actually start classes, but obviously that hasn't worked out, has it? I basically have to prepare a chapter each week for class. So what I'm going to do for this week is I'm going to read the chapter that I have to read, and another one, because I'm not quite sure if we actually start with the first or the second one, because I didn't listen. That was stupid. I should have done that, but here we are. They're not that long. It's quite okay. I think the first one's like 30 pages, and then I'm just going to add the second one, and it's going to add up to about 70 pages at most, so I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to read that. It takes me a lot longer than even this book, which is great, but So for now I'm going to read the first 2 chapters of this, and then I'm going to move on and finish this one, and keep reading Good Omens on my commute. I'm going to, do my best to finish this as quickly as I can. I obviously still want to take in all the information, but also want to get done with it. I still have about 95 pages left that I still have to read out of this. And considering the first 200 took me about 2 weeks, I should be able to do it within a week, which, with the uni work, I'm not sure of, but yeah. So that's the idea. I'm going to finish Parliament and British Politics, and I'm actually really glad that my uni work is not different essays, and instead just one book as a collection of essays, because I feel like it is a lot more achievable to look at a 400 or 500 page book, even if it's like a complicated one that will take you a lot longer than usual to read, than knowing you have to read 13 classes worth of reading material and just, cram them into a shorter amount of time. Because I could also just read a chapter each week and call it a day, but my goal is to have one fiction book running and then also this one, and I want to finish this before I finish classes, because I also have to write an essay in that class, and I want to draw on other literature as well, so I want to read other things, and I don't want to just cram them into like a time slot and instead have enough time to have a chill time reading them, because in the past I have stressed a lot about essays and stuff like that and haven't done enough research, and I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to try and give myself the time I need to read these texts. So yeah, basically that's the idea. The end goal is to read a fiction book for train rides and for relaxing at home, and my nonfiction uni work for now as the other thing that I read at the same time. And I hope that will still enable me to read enough fiction and for it to not take me like 3 weeks to read a book, because that's really annoying, honestly. Especially because I have so many books that I want to read, as does everyone else. I know that's not a special thing. I definitely need to add that I'm not good at keeping these things. I tend to procrastinate a lot. I make plans and I don't go through with them all the time, especially if it's just dealing with my issues. Like if it's someone else, like I'm going to be responsible, obviously, but if it's just my stuff, I tend to procrastinate a lot and then, you know, just make things harder for myself in 3 months, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to try and do my best, and we'll see. Maybe I'll check in like a month or two and tell you how it's been going and how I've actually been keeping track of everything. I do realize that I'm very lucky that I only have one class that I actually have to read for. I can space it out. I know that in past semesters when I had to read for different classes, I got really stressed out because I was excited to read for every class, but every new day I would get new coursework that I was excited about, and then by the end of the week I would be exhausted and completely overwhelmed, had a weekend, and then I had to already have read all the text and I didn't do it, and you know, it didn't really work for me. So I'm really happy that I have the opportunity to enjoy this class more and like really engage with the coursework and not just rush through it because I have to prepare for class. So yeah, I don't know, hope this helps. And other than that, I'm gonna see you next week. Bye!